Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. Before we go further, I'd like to ask anyone who can to please stand and pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll now call the meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones. For those who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the first time, we will concern ourselves with cases that are on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from various departments in the county and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We have discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed for a decision today. So, as we move forward, our County Zoning Division Manager, Mr. John Peterson, it's all yours.
Thank you. And before we get going on the continued and held cases, I did get word this morning or this afternoon that the applicant for V82, Molly Witten, she would like to withdraw this variance. So we would need a vote by the board to withdraw this variance without prejudice, V82.
Okay.
Madam Chair, thank you. I respectfully ask that we go ahead and grant that request to withdraw the application for variance V82.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second.
All in favor? Passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the following cases are held or continued, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is variance case V44, Aqua Design Pools and Spas LLC. This case has been continued by the staff until the September 14th, 2022 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing, so we're not going to hear V44. Variance case V80, Madison Reiki, Foresight Group. This case was continued by the staff until the September 14th, 2022 Board of Zoning Appeals hearings, so V80 will not be heard today. Variance case V83, Francisco Hernandez. This case was continued by the staff until the September 14th, 2022 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing, so V83 will not be heard today. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Yes, thank you.
Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for August 10th, 2022. First case on consent is variance case of V69, Open Bible Tabernacle. Request a variance to reduce setbacks for a sign from required 62 feet of the center line of an arterial road right-of-way to 42 feet in land lots 1086 and 1087 of the 19th District. The property is located on the north side of Clay Road, west of Ewing Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to, number one, recommend signage be installed off county right-of-way and where it would not impede the line of sight for driveways or roadways. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V69? No. Let the record show no one opposed. Variance case of V70, Shay Channon and Paul Channon request a variance to, number one, reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 9 feet adjacent to the north property line. And number two, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 300 square foot building from required 12 feet to 4 feet existing in land lot 1190 of the 16th District. The property is located at the southwest terminus of West Blackland Court, south of Blackland Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V70? No. Let the record show no one opposed. Variance case V71, Leslie Henry request a variance to increase the maximum impervious coverage from 40% to 49% in land lot 213 of the 16th District. The property is located at the southwest terminus of Brantford Way, west of Bells Ferry Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for variance case V71? Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V71?
No.
Okay, Madam Chair and Board, there's no one opposed, and the applicant is not present right now. Variance case V72, Justine Clay requests a variance to number 1, allow an accessory structure, which is an approximately 480 square foot proposed garage, to be closer to the street, the side street right-of-way line than the principal building on a corner lot. And number 2, reduce the major side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 408 square foot proposed garage from 25 feet to 13 feet in land lot 493 of the 16th district. The property is located on the northeast corner of Penland Drive and Brackett Road, east of Canton Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, proposed 480 square foot garage not to be used for commercial or dwelling uses. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V72?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V74, Interplan LLC requests a variance to number 1, reduce the side setback from required 15 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the south property line. 2, reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 11 feet. 3, reduce the front setback from required 50 feet to 14 feet. And number 4, waiver of the 8-foot landscape enhancement strip adjacent to Piedmont Road and Sandy Plains Road in land lot 595 and 630 of the 16th district. The property is located at the southeast intersection of East Piedmont Road and Sandy Plains Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicants are here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V74?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V75, Michael Jordan requests a variance to number 1, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed 2,728 square foot barn to be in front of the principal building. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for the proposed 2,728 square foot barn from required 100 feet to 49 feet adjacent to the north property line and to 39 feet adjacent to the south property line in land lots 451 and 512 of the 19th district. The property is located on the north side of Cross Creek Drive, north of Hiram Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, barn not to be used for residential or living purposes. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V75?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V76, DF Windy Hill LLC requests a variance to reduce the setback for a sign from required 52 feet from the center line of a major collector road right-of-way to 42 feet for both signs B and C on Interstate North Parkway and Interstate North Parkway East, respectively, in land lots 919, 920, 941, and 942 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Windy Hill Road, on the east side of Interstate North Parkway, on the west side of Paris Ferry Road, and on the north side of Interstate North Parkway East. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Oh, let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V76?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V77, Mike Springfield requests a variance to number 1, reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the east property line. Number 2, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 225 square foot shed wood building from required 10 feet to 0 feet adjacent to the west property line, and that is existing. Number 3, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 190 square foot putt-putt for required 10 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the west property line, and that is existing also. Number 4, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 380 square foot fire pit from required 10 feet to 7 feet adjacent to the west property line, and that is existing also. Number 5, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 625 square foot basketball court required 10 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the west property line, and that is existing also. And number 6, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 625 square foot basketball court from required 35 feet to 13 feet, which is existing in land lot 696 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Lee Road, east of Pine Ridge Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V77? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V79, Josh Yosef requests a variance to reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the west property line in land lot 819 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Brookview Drive, east of Orchard Valley Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V79? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V81, Luke Burbank requests a variance to allow an accessory use, which is a proposed pool to the side of the principal building in land lot 749 of the 17th district. The property is located on the north side of Gateway Court, south of Village Station Crossing. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V81? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes your consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Mr. Johnson? How do we want to handle the one that, how the applicant not being here?
That's at the discretion of this.
Did
Someone else come in?
Okay, good. Did Mr. Henry walk in?
Nope.
V71? Okay.
So the absence of an applicant is at the discretion of this board. It's on consent. It can remain on consent. There's no one here in opposition. So that's at the discretion of this board.
Yeah. All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept the cases on consent.
I make a motion to accept the case on consent.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. You good? No, what, you have a question?
I do. Madam Chair, could I just inquire of staff? I did not hear any comments respecting staff conditions regarding V76. I thought I had seen one in an email at some point from transportation. So I see Amy Diaz is here. Can I just inquire on that?
Sure.
That was my case, and the staff comments from Amy was late, and I wasn't going to allow that on this variance.
It needs to be removed from consent?
No, it doesn't. The staff comments with regards to DOT were late, and it doesn't, and I, at the discretion, talked about it to not have it, removed from the staff comments. It's not going to pertain to this.
Can I just inquire of the DOT whether this is anything that's going to interfere with line of sight or
Yeah,
anything?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Amy Diaz, DOT. So the question of line of sight, when they come in for their sign application through community development, that is one of the things that they check for there as well.
Okay, so you're saying that issue will get picked up and handled?
Yes.
They won't be able to skirt it? Our moving forward today won't risk endangering anybody in the public?
I am saying that is one of the items that is reviewed in a sign permit.
Okay, and if it's considered that there's somehow an unsafe condition, it'll get addressed then and made safe?
Yes, when they have a situation with a site distance issue, they get DOT involved in the sign permit process.
Okay, thank you.
We good? Yes. Okay, all right. We have a motion and a second. Can we place our votes, please? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, all those folks that were on consent agenda, you're free to leave. Everyone else must stay in the room to have their case heard publicly. First case we're going to hear is a continued case, variance case V52. Alfreda Cox niece requests a variance to increase the maximum allowed height of a fence in front of or to the side of the house in a residential district from 6 feet to 8 feet in land lot 21 and in land lot 21 of the 20th district. Property is located on the north side of Parkwood Chase, east of Way Green Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V52? Let the record show there's one person opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
Yes, ma'am, come forward. Excuse me, just the applicant. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, if you'll please state your name.
Alfredia Cox niece.
Since you've spoken to us before, do you want to just briefly highlight what your needs are? Because you briefed us very well the last meeting.
Actually, it's not 8 feet, it's 6 inches, about the size of my hand. That's all. When I applied, they said I can go as high as 8 foot. I don't need to go that high. I just wanted some inches to hide the cameras that the HOA placed that's on my house. I've had several burglaries, larcenies when I'm not there. I've had at least 24 locks I had to change, a window that was taken out because they put a security light on my property. I do not belong to the HOA. I never have. When I attempted one time, when I first moved there, they said that my 2 granddaughters from my sons had to leave the pool because I didn't pay. So I said I did, which I did. So they said, oh, we got the check. Now you can join. Then I didn't want to join. So that was like almost 22 years ago. With that being said, I've had a 6-foot fence since around 2008. When they put the cameras to oversee my house, everything started happening. I have so many police reports, it's amazing. People were coming into my home, which my camera showed, in droves. Why, I don't know. But it didn't occur until the cameras was placed on the HOA, I think they called it the bathhouse. My property, the fence is not vertical, it's horizontal. I'm not in no way impeding any actions of what the HOA or whomever else wants to do. I just wanted the criminal activity from others unknown due to those cameras to stop.
So what specifically do you need us to provide a variance for? Is it the height of your fence? If you could, that's what we really need to hear from you. What do you want to?
I just wanted to stay like it is. I don't want an 8-foot fence. I think the wording was incorrect, even though I did my research and called zoning and everyone. So they said I can go as high as 8 feet. I don't want an 8-foot fence. I want to remain what I have, the 6-foot fence with the current maybe 5 to 6 inches that they are saying. I don't know what they're saying. But the point is, that's when all of my problems started. Thefts, furniture I had to buy, artifacts, documents, so much. I had to purchase twice.
We understand your concerns about the security, so what you're asking for is approval of your existing fence, or you want to increase the size?
I wanted to stay as it is. I do not want to increase the size. The 6 inches that was over the 6-foot fence has been there since last year, just to hide the cameras. I don't want an 8, I don't even want a 7-foot fence. I just want to hide their cameras because it's an invasion of my privacy. It's an invasion of my privacy by law. It's illegal. I mean, I'm quiet. I don't do anything. I'm 78 years old, or will be. I have a TBI, traumatic brain injury. I don't need all of this or any of this.
Okay, in your application, it states that you wanted to increase the maximum allowed height.
Members of the BZA, since we are still in part of the public hearing and we have opposition here, we need to let her finish her 10 minutes and then let opposition have their 10 minutes. And then we'll close the public hearing and the board can engage in questions of the applicant and opposition or staff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry for the interruption.
I do not or ever wanted an 8-foot fence. I was only going by the guidelines of zoning that said I could have 8 feet. I don't want it. I want it to remain as it was since 2008, and last year, no higher than my hand over the 6-foot fence that I've had for many, many years. I don't want to increase it. I'm emphatic about that.
Okay. If you complete your comments, thank you. You may sit down for a moment.
Yes.
Until the opposite. Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Virginia Douglas. I am one of the members of the board for Parkwood Commons, which is the community, the neighborhood that the variance has been requested for. I'm here in place of Lisa Taylor, who unfortunately was not able to be here because she has tested positive for COVID. But we do come because we would like to speak against the approval of this variance. It's our understanding that the variance is for an addition to the fence that has already been there. I do have pictures of it. It's actually a lattice work. It's probably about, and I do have pictures that I can supply. Actually, let me grab me some more. Tried to take them from different angles. So a higher fence is actually not anything I think anybody in the neighborhood would be against, but this is a lattice work that's been added to the fence. It's unsightly. It's the first house that you see in the neighborhood as you come in once you pass the pool, the common areas. We have pictures of where the HOA security lights or cameras go. They were put there in purpose for the parking lot. It's my understanding that Ms. Cox's niece was one of the first people that years ago were very concerned about activity in the parking lot because there weren't lights and there weren't security cameras, so possible drug activity, sex activity, and so forth. So it actually made a lot of sense. So at that time, back in 2008, An additional light was placed to provide lighting for the parking area, and additional cameras were put in. 2 of the cameras do cover the area of the main parking lot, and we also have a roadway that goes for the common area parking that goes along that fence and back behind the tennis courts. The roadway's kind of along that side there. It's just to the left of where the picture ends, but there's a gravel driveway that rides back. So one of the cameras does kind of go into that same area that does cover that area, but the purpose is to see cars, vehicles that are going back on that gravel road back and forth. I do have pictures of where those cameras show, and there's 2 of them. One's mostly obscured by a tree that's there, but one does show a little bit further over, but the purpose of it is to see the gravel roadway that runs. It would be along the top of that picture. I do also have a statement from Ms. Taylor that she wrote when she first thought that she was not going to be able to attend, and we weren't sure if anybody else was going to be able to attend. So with your permission, if I can just read it, it's very short. This is Lisa Taylor. I opposed the fence variance proposed by Alfredia Cox on July 13, 2022. She had planned to be here to oppose the variance, but however, she is still testing positive for COVID. In light of this, I may not be able to attend to oppose. In addition, please understand that I have not reached out to Ms. Cox, which was a request of one of the board members that we try and, contact them and try and work out a compromise. She hasn't reached out to her to find a solution. Below is a copy of the $150,000 lawsuit that Ms. Cox filed against Lisa Taylor following her appearance at the last hearing. It was served by a sheriff. She didn't contact her because she knew she would take unkindly to being contacted again, so she hasn't tried to contact her. I did leave a message with her son, which was never returned. Obviously, this lawsuit is frivolous, but I will spend a good amount of money to fight this lawsuit. This is typical of the type of harassment that Ms. Cox has caused our neighborhood since she has resided here herself. She has not resided in the home in 4 years. She did sue the entire board about a year ago, myself included, but it was not served to us by a sheriff, and this one was. The main reasons that we oppose this is that she does not reside in the home. There is no documented crime, as she states. The lattice is ugly. It lowers our home values and does not comply with code. We did reach out to 911 and the public records for police and did get a printout of the last several years of police respondents to that address, to her address, and anybody can look through them and see that there's multiple allegations of people breaking into her home, people turning off her lights in the middle of the night, and none of it was ever proven. Nothing's ever been resolved saying that anything was found. I can assure Ms. Cox that the HOA doesn't have anything against her other than we just want code to be enforced. We want the fences to be sightly to help everybody to increase and maintain their property values. And we don't want to be harassed just for trying to volunteer and help our communities and serve on a board. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. But again, we oppose the variance for this. We don't want the increased lattice added to the fence. We don't believe that there's any purpose or reason for it. And I do have a signature of about 30 names of other residents in the neighborhood who have signed that they also oppose this. I believe we would have had more, but the 2 main people that were getting signatures got COVID and one had a death in the family, so. Is there anything I can answer or supply?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
If the applicant can please come forward. ready?
Could you repeat what you said, please?
Oh, I just was asking you to come forward. So in regards to your request for the variance, it states that you want to go from a 6-foot to an 8-foot fence. That's what your request says.
It was written incorrectly. I do not wish to have 8-foot fence. As she stated, there was a lot of crime. I am at my home. The Georgia Department of Aging stated emphatically, since I live alone, to go to a community where there were more people. That's what I did, but I was at my house often. My son was there or a family member. I haven't had this much problems at all. I love Parkwood Commons. I used to help the other HOA members with different things on a voluntary basis. It hasn't been like this until they put the cameras up to see, or matter of fact, to see if I'm not at home, because that's when everything happened. And lastly, hopefully, I say this to say, when I purchased my home, it had been, no one wanted it. And it was in disarray, and I fixed it up. And it's been nice until the cameras. What they're saying about the lattice, I made it so you could still see through it, because I could have gotten panels to close up the fence itself, but I didn't want to do that. So it was just a thought that I would get the lattice. Some people like it. I am one of perhaps 3 black families there. If she could show me others, then fine, but it hasn't been. One family, her house blew up. Another lady I met a couple of years ago, she said they harassed the black family in the back, where I live in the front, where she is. I'm not prejudiced, racial, nothing. I'm an educator, probably taught some of their children, which I did, matter of fact, when I moved there, okay? I only want to be safe in my own home without going somewhere else, having to spend more money, because the Georgia Department of Aging is looking out for my safety. I will say this, one member that I'm aware of, Josh Jarvis, was either allegedly aided and abetted in harming me, which the Georgia Department of Aging was fearful about. They contacted me. A toxic substance, chemical, was placed in the vent, which caused me to go to 2 emergency rooms. 2. Now, I'm told that Josh Jarvis was one of them by the Georgia Department of Aging. So they have been looking after me, so to speak, encouraging me, well, don't isolate yourself, but I'm not isolating myself. I'm just living in my home. I do not go into the parking lot. I do not go further than my house. I don't do anything to anybody, even my neighbors across the street.
Okay. All right. I sent you an email. Did you get the email?
I don't have email, and I did not speak with my son, so I don't know, what she said about him. He was living there for the last 2.5 to 3 months because he was awaiting a house.
Okay. I had sent him an email and you an email.
I don't have email. They hacked my email, so I don't have email.
Okay. Well, I had an email for you and an email for your son, and I've been trying to communicate with you via that, and I hadn't heard back from you.
Because I hadn't spoken with them.
Okay.
And I don't have email again. Like I said, HOA hacked everything I had on my email.
Okay. The stipulations that I am proposing today, there are 3, and I was hoping you would read these over beforehand, but here, these are what they are. Number 1, You must remove the new fence section on the right side of your house that was recently added. Number 2, you must remove all of the lattice work attached to the fence between your house and the recreation area. Number 3, you may install at your expense a new 8-foot or whatever height you want the fence to be to give you the privacy and protection from the recreation area. This fence must be set back 35 foot from the road as shown on your plat dated 9/27/21. You can decide how far by your house it goes, if you want to replace the whole thing or just a certain section from the road past your house to give you the privacy from the cameras, the headlights, the lights for the tennis courts, whatnot. That is my proposal. So what are your...
The lights for the tennis courts never bothered me.
Okay, headlights.
It's only the cameras
Okay,
and the
this would
burglary.
this would block the cameras.
Why don't they do something? This costs. I don't have the money. I'm on a fixed income. I'm 78 years old, hopefully in December. Okay? I don't have the money to, if they want to take my lattice down, they can. And put something else up, they can. But the easier, simpler way, which I've been asking them to do, is just remove the cameras. I never wanted them there. They, like I said, everything started. My burglary. You know how much money, my artifacts, my pictures, do you know?
We
No.
discussed.
No, twice, 3 times. I'm trying to explain to you. It took me 3 years to redo something because I had to save up for it. If they want to have their men in the HOA to take down the lattice, then fine, and put something else up. I cannot afford it.
Okay.
I can agree with you as far as even closing up the fence. At first, I didn't want it closed. That's why I didn't close it up. And then they started with the cameras and the burglary. And let me say this to you, if I may. If everything was only happening once they put the cameras up, then I responded in kind. I never had problems with Parkwood Commons or the other HOA members who are no longer there. So you're taking someone's word against mine because of what?
I'm not taking
Well, evidently you are, because even the first time I was here, I begged to differ. You're the one who first was against it. Only you, no one else.
Was against what?
Madam Chair, I would just ask the applicant in the conversation to be germane to the request as to the fence and only as to the fence, and if there are any questions, to keep it very specific just as to the fence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, the conversation needs to be limited to the fence, but nothing about security or crime or anything, just the fence, materials, and height.
I understand the 8-foot was never to be. That was just how it was written, because they said I could, but I didn't want to. I don't mind someone else taking it down and rectifying the problem, not at my expense. It already cost me a lot of money for that, a lot of money, which, like I said, I had to save up for, being on a fixed income. So with that being said, I keep my property nice. For the most part. Lately, it's been a lot of rain, so I have, but anyway, the fence, they can do it at their expense if they don't like it. Or remove their cameras.
Okay, do other board members have any comments? So the stipulations that I stated, let's go through them one at a time. You must remove the new fence section on the right side. that you've added. Do you agree?
I'm 80 years old, or will be in 2 years. I cannot remove anything. I have wood on my property now that I can't get rid of because the guy, the handyman,
You-
is sick.
You've told me, though, that you have had many handymen over the years, and this fence is new, so you had to have a fence guy come in to do this work.
A friend, and he's had surgery recently. And that's all I can say. I can't get anyone. I'm old now. You get people to do things for you when you're younger. I don't have the money. At that time, I had the money. 2008, I'm an educator. I had my own business, accredited school.
Okay.
I had the money. 2008.
Excuse me, ma'am. She's asking if you, she's saying, do you agree with the taking down? These are the stipulations that you need to understand will be made on your request. And we're just waiting, Ms. Summeyer is just trying to review them with you so they're clear.
Yes. So again, for clarification, number one, you must remove the new fence section on the right side of your house that was recently added. I don't know who added it, but it needs to be removed. Number two, you must remove all of the lattice work attached to the fence between your house and the recreation area. Number three, you may install at your expense a new 8-foot fence or whatever height you choose to give you privacy and protection from the recreation area. This fence must be set back 35 foot from the road as shown on your plat dated 9/27/21. You can decide the length of this new fence, but it needs to be consistent from the road past your house. Those are my stipulations regarding your request. Is there a motion?
Sure. Yeah.
Is discussion?
Yeah. I make a motion that we approve this case with the stipulations as outlined. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but I think we need to put a timeline as to when we would like for this to be completed. I think that the new fence removal in 30 days, and then for the removal of the lattice work to be within 30 days, and then to put the new fence structure in, to give that like 120 days. So that would give her the ability to maybe, ma'am, but that might give you the ability to reach out to the group that you work with the aging, to see if there could be some assistance. I can't give you any recommendations how to do that, but you seem to be very tied into the community, and I think those dates are what I propose. It can be changed if you have another idea.
I'm good with those.
Madam Chair, can I just inquire, can we agree that whatever new fence goes in is still limited to a maximum height of 8 feet? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's in the stipulation,
Or lower,
or lower.
yes.
Okay. So do we need to restate, Mr. Johnson?
I think for the record, we probably should, to make it as clear, and for the minutes, might be beneficial.
Okay.
All three again, or
All
just
three-
the dates?
All three, and add the dates into
Okay.
each section as is applicable.
I'm on a fixed income. I cannot do that. I have no contact with the people who put
Madam
it up.
Chair.
Ma'am,
The hearing is over, so there's no more comment unless the board wishes from anyone.
But we've heard your comments, thank you. This is the end of the length of time for conversation. No, I'm sorry.
All right. For the record, I will
Please be
read
seated.
the stipulations again.
Number one, you must remove the new fence section on the right side of your house that was recently added
In 30 days.
within 30 days. Number two, you must remove all of the lattice work attached to the fence between your house and the recreation area within 30 days. Number three, you may install at your expense a new maximum 8-foot tall fence to give you privacy and protection from the recreation area. This fence must be set back 35 foot from the road as shown on your plat dated 9/27/21. You can decide the length of this new fence, but it must be consistent from the road where the fence is starting right now, and you can decide how far back it goes. That new fence, if you choose to put it in, you have 120 days. And that is my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, questions.
Can I interrupt for just a second? We
Yes,
already had a
please.
motion and a second, so we were just clarifying the motion, just for
Yes.
the record.
Okay.
So we're ready for a vote unless there's
Okay,
some
thank you.
additional
This is-
discussion.
Yes,
Can,
Mr. Peterson?
I do not belong to the HOA. I don't have the money.
I'm sorry to interrupt the motion. I'm sorry to interrupt the motion.
To HOA.
Sir, ma'am, you need to please
I
seat.
don't have the money.
Madam Chair and Board, I hate to interrupt the motion, but I think the staff would need some clarity regarding the new fence, because to me, it sounds like the biggest problem with this proposed fence is the way it looks. It's got two different materials. There's some on the top, some on the bottom. Some things are missing. So, if the board goes through with this motion, I think it'd be important to state that any new fence have a uniformed look to it, and it probably should come back for review and approval prior to being approved. If the board doesn't accept that, then, my druthers would just be just to reject this and have her take down the section that's over 6 feet tall.
so to proceed that way, do we have to come back to the motion that's up for vote now to make
Yeah.
a new motion, since I seconded, to make a new motion with regards to this variance?
Well, you could withdraw the motions and start over, or vote to deny the motion on the table and then offer a new motion. I mean,
So I could make a motion to deny the
well,
motion that's on the,
Alice needs.
well, we take a vote. There's a motion and a second on the table
Yeah.
to
I
approve the
second.
stipulations, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
If you voted on that and you don't wish to move forward with that, you could, as long as we have 3 no votes, that motion dies. Then there'll be a second motion, whatever the request, the decision would be, and then vote on that motion. So it's either withdraw and/or vote on the motions on the table.
Which is cleanest.
Can I complicate it and try a third alternative? Can
Yeah.
I move that we approve the motion as
have a
made,
motion.
subject to an amendment that the fence be required to be uniform in material, consistent with Mr. Peterson's recommendation?
I believe, Mr. Bourne, that would be a substitute motion.
Right.
Yes, that's a substitute. So,
But then we could vote on that, correct?
yeah, just,
Deny.
Rather than go through restating everything
yeah.
again?
Okay, let's take care of the first one, and then we can have discussion from there. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Please place your votes. Fails 4-0, 5-0. All right, thank you. All right, discussion on this? I really agree with staff that we probably need much more clarity before we go further. So, it's just-
so I think that, since the board can't require our request from the HOA to reposition their cameras. And since the applicant has a financial hardship as far as removing the
Lattice.
lattice work and also removing the fence, I think that I would like to make a substitute motion that we deny this variance request. However, since it was code enforcement that identified the addition of the new fence, so we deny the variance, and per code enforcement, we have her remove that section of the new fence that was just installed.
For parliamentary purposes, this is not a substitute motion, this is just a new motion.
A new motion,
So-
Yes.
Okay, a new motion.
Are we,
Madam Chair, I would just inquire whether we have any authority to impose conditions at this time without approving something.
I-
And I hear what Commissioner Boulogne saying. I think a clean way to state the motion is that you motion to deny the variances, and you just add a clerk's note that code enforcement visit the property within 30 days to make sure all fencing complies with county code.
yes. Does that work? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
That wasn't, you can't make the motion.
What?
Who made the motion?
Kim?
I made the motion
I
that
didn't-
John just stated.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you do it. I thought you, all right, everybody's helping
We
me
need
today.
a class.
Yeah, we all need a class in parliamentary. Okay, all right. Is everybody clear? Do you have a second? Is everybody ready to vote?
Yes.
You're slow. Wow. All right. Denial passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, next case is rezoning case V54, Total Imaging Incorporated. Request a variance to number one, reduce the sign setback from required 52 feet off a major collector right-of-way center line to 40 feet. And number two, allow an electronic sign on a lot without at least 200 feet of public road frontage on one road, which is 155 feet, in land lot 20 of the 20th District. The property is located on the southeast corner of Grindstone Drive and Hicks Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V54?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Oh. This is Deidre.
Well, my name is Volkit, representing Cobb, we're the sign contractor. I think last time we left off with the zoning notice that was supposed to be posted on the properties, which was taken care of. And pretty much our customer is requesting to reduce the setback from 52 feet to 40 feet for the sign location, and reducing the setback or reducing the linear frontage of 154 feet to allow LED prices for better visibility.
Saw the sign was out. Do you have pictures of what's currently there and also what you're proposing, the new signage location
Yes.
will be?
So, yeah, the Village Store sign is the existing sign, and the new proposed sign would be the Valero sign, which will be at 15 feet overall height and 49 square feet, which is per code. And then that's
Okay.
the sign.
Have you received traffic's comments regarding the recommendations that they have? You have not, okay. So they recommend removing the northern driveway on Hicks Road and reconstructing the remaining driveway per section 40208. Non-residential driveways of the Cobb County Development Standards, this recommendation should be implemented upon redevelopment of the property where redevelopment is defined as any action requiring a land disturbance permit. They also recommend moving the existing driveway on Grindstone Drive a minimum of 100 feet, tangent distance from Hicks Road per section 402.2 of the Cobb County Development Standards. This recommendation should be implemented upon redevelopment of the property where redevelopment is defined as any action requiring a land disturbance permit. They also, number 3, recommend extending the driveway uninterrupted access to a minimum of 50 feet from the edge of right-of-way per development standard 402.8. This recommendation should be implemented upon redevelopment of the property, which redevelopment is defined as any action requiring a land disturbance permit. And then 4, they recommend that all signage be installed off county right-of-way and where it will not impede the line of sight for the driveway or roadways. Are you aware of that portion of it?
No, we were not aware of that because we're the sign contractor, right? So I don't know what improvement is the owner is doing on his property.
Okay.
I keep voting. So this sign has been on this property for how long?
The existing, I have no idea.
Okay, well, I believe, like, looking back in the record, when this property was built, that, that this was kind of grandfathered in, this sign, because as this sign stands right now, and if you asked for this sign, you wouldn't be permitted because you're in a residential neighborhood.
Okay.
So now what you're not only asking is for, to have this sign modified, but now turning it into an electronic sign. Again, you're in a residential neighborhood, and I don't really see the benefit of having electronic signs in residential neighborhoods versus what you have here that's grandfathered. That wouldn't be, that really isn't really allowable, and that's why you're coming in for a variance. I think that this is I've had variances before with electronic signs that we've denied in neighborhoods because this glows all night long, and I think it's impactful to a neighborhood. And I think that, you know, if you could fix up the sign and make it look a little prettier, but I don't agree with allowing a variance for something that is against code. That's my opinion.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So it sounds like you have some work to do with the owner, perhaps, to make sure that you can get the driveway and right-of-way situations figured out. But when I saw this sign, I saw it in the daytime. I presumed actually there were lights in it. I don't know. The existing sign?
There should be lights in there. Maybe they're just not working.
Okay. So if you could go back to the, yes. So my concerns would be slightly different, but I help manage a building, and we changed out a year ago or more from, I guess they would be incandescent lights to LEDs, and what we noticed, it about tripled the brightness in the parking lot. So my concern would just be this, that there are 3 houses, in essence, I can see from here that might have visibility to the sign. One is the one beneath it, right, just to the south of the subject, and the other 2 are right across the street, right across Hicks Road. My concern would just be that whatever goes up would not unduly illuminate or interfere with their use and enjoyment of their property. Those are my concerns. If you could, show us that those people wouldn't be unduly harmed. That's what I would want to hear about.
Would it, because usually with the signs, they have like a switch where they can turn it off at night when they close the store. Would that be an option you guys would consider where?
That'd be good to hear about. And then the other would be, is it one-sided or two, for example, if the board is just facing out but not facing in? And I really can't see the benefit too much of an inward-facing board. If it's just going to be facing Hicks Road, I mean, would it be something where it would put any illumination at all towards the house that's sitting right here, just south of the subject house or
Can
property?
I show you where the customer is proposing the location?
Yeah.
Please, yes.
More information.
Yeah.
The more information, the better.
So this is the general area where the village store sign is. And then this is the middle island where the customer is proposing the new location, which will be away from the residential property that's down south here.
Located in the median, right in the front of the store, is that what you're
Yeah,
alluding
there's
to?
like a little island right
Yes.
here. Yes.
Closer to the neighbors.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, that leads me to a new series of questions. Given that proximity to the intersection, that would be, I'll have questions for the DOT, but the current sign, the post is the only thing for the first 7 or 8 feet, right, from the ground up. The only thing that's there is the post, which is kind of skinny, and you can see around it by and large. But are you proposing a wider sign going all the way to the ground?
So we're proposing a sign that will be 4 feet wide.
Right, all the way to the ground?
Yeah, so, and then a monument base at the bottom, which is required by the code.
Okay, well, I would just want to ask the DOT about that, whether they have any thoughts or comments about that. But thank you.
Thank you.
By shutting off the light at night, then it goes back to this. What is the purpose of you lighting the sign? Because that's to give you visibility at night in a residential neighborhood that you're selling gas and whatever other items. So to turn it off at night, which is a grand idea, but what is the purpose of this electronic board? And when you get into electronic boards, then I guess I would feel more comfortable that everything would have to be limited to what you could run. Like you couldn't run continuous information that you're selling, this is for sale and this is for sale. It cannot be moving. It has to be stagnant.
It will be a static sign. It won't be a flasher or anything. It will be a static.
So the purpose of going to the electronic board is for what, if you're agreeing to turn it off at night?
Just so they can change the sign or the gas prices easily inside, like within their store. They don't have to come out and use those manual sticks to change the prices.
I don't have any more questions. I just feel that this is a residential neighborhood, and I guess the date that this was built in 1971, maybe it wasn't as densely populated as it is now with homes, and I think that it's kind of an anomaly that this is in the middle of a residential, and I just think that maybe the neighbors didn't understand that you would have this lit up that way and so they didn't maybe come out to oppose, but as far as from a variance perspective, I just really don't think you have a hardship, and I don't think that turning it off at night is going to give you what you would want, and that would be visibility of what your gas prices are. And so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
John, Mr. Peterson, I happen to have noticed that there is also a rezoning sign posted. Could this not be something handled more efficiently during the entire rezoning process?
It
Because
could, and Madam Chair, you're correct. This is going to be a zoning case in September, so in a couple of weeks, it's going to be before the Planning Commission, of which Mr. Boulogn's on. And I believe this is one of the things that is mentioned in the zoning case, is this sign.
Okay.
Madam Chair, with your permission, that of the District 4 board member, could we just find out from Amy Diaz whether this would be a problem, what's proposed, whether
Yeah.
this aspect would be a problem or not? She may.
We can go ahead and get that on record, yes.
That might just help move everything forward for what might be the next round.
Amy Diaz, DOT. So having the sign be 1 foot into the property does address the part of the comment that it must be installed off of right-of-way. The part of the comment about whether it blocks line of sight, it will depend on the design of the sign. If it's like this sign that's on a post, then it would probably not block line of sight. But if you have a monument-style sign that's thick at the bottom, it likely would. So it really depends on the final design. Again, community development has a sign permit process that the sign would have to go through, and that would be looked at. So,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay. Do we have any more questions or discussions?
Based on the questions that the board has had and the fact that you guys are actually going to rezone, do you have any other information that you would like for us to consider prior to us making a motion?
No, I have told you everything that I want
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Thank you. I would actually make a motion that we deny the variance as it currently stands and submit to the authority of zoning for this particular request.
I think the correct motion is just a move to deny the request and that be it.
Okay.
Because there's still outstanding rezoning applications.
So I correct the initial motion. So in that correction, I motion that we deny the current variance request as it stands.
Second for purposes of discussion. And then, if I may, Madam Chair, my discussion point would just be to inquire, do we need to say that it's without prejudice? I don't want to do anything that would impair the rights of the applicant to move forward and obtain a sign variance as part of that other process.
And I don't think a denial by this board would impact that board. It just would prevent them from bringing in a zoning variance to the BZA within a year.
I'm sorry? Oh, okay.
I don't, I'm looking to see what an available motion is. I think, I don't know that with or without prejudice in the denial is available, and I'm looking in the rules to see that. If you give me just a second, please. No, the only, if it's the desire of the board to deny, it's just, it stands alone as a denial.
All right, That passes 5-0, the denial.
Okay, next case is variance case V68, Timothy P. Hornbrook and Donna J. Woods. Request a variance to, number one, reduce the major side setback from required 15 feet to 14 feet. Number two, reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 16 feet. Number three, reduce the front setback from required 15 feet to 13 feet, which is existing. And number four, increase the maximum impervious coverage from required 40% to 48.33%. And then lot 609 of the 16th district. The property is located on the northwest corner of Tritt Homestead Drive and Abercrombie Place, south of Post Oak Tritt Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V68? Let the record show there's one person opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. State your name, please.
Timothy Hornbrook.
Donna Woods.
Okay, speak up just a little louder while you make your comments.
Donna Woods.
Thank you.
First of all, thanks for the opportunity for us to present our views. Just a little background, I've resided in the area as a homeowner for over 30 years. We've resided in this neighborhood, which is called the Park at Lost Forest, for about 18 years. Moved to this current residence in 2015 from a different house within the same neighborhood in order to get additional space and also to consider adding a third-car garage. We delayed requesting approval until now because my mother-in-law moved across the street and we used her empty garage, but she passed away last year, so the house was sold. Let's see, requesting a variance of the setback line from approximately 31 feet to, I think, actually 16 feet to allow for construction of a single-car garage addition to the existing structure. The application includes a survey showing the proposed change. The application also includes the approval of this proposal by the immediate neighbors as well as Lost Forest HOA. With respect to the application, I understand the commission has some concerns with the increased impervious space that this proposal will encompass. The survey that I provided shows an impervious space of the existing structure at 6,058 square feet, or 43.8%, decks included. The decks, however, are pervious, so that's about 270 square feet. If we subtract that from the total amount that was calculated, that reduces our actual impervious space from 6,058 to 5,897. So it's down to about 42%, not 43%. The proposed addition will add 624 square feet of impervious space, giving a total of 5,897, or about 42.6%. This would be a total increase of only about 2.6% from what we currently have. We're planning to use a local Cobb County small business builder to handle construction, including professional landscaping. To mitigate the increase, I want to note that virtually all runoff from the existing house currently is diverted into underground dry well, and that we've had no issues with water runoff. The proposed garage addition will also use the dry well system to divert water runoff. And I note that the garage and drive addition, the garage is about 315 square feet, so virtually all of that will be diverted to the dry well. That leaves only 309 square feet, which is the driveway, which would not be diverted. It's about 2%. In addition, our neighborhood just for what it's worth, is surrounded by undisturbed green space. Across the street, there is a park. It's the Jean and Elwood Wright Environmental Education Center, 19 acres of undisturbed natural area. There's another approximately 20 acres of natural area that abuts our subdivision immediately to the west. And there's also a natural area that extends throughout the neighborhood, including a small pond and creek. So the entire neighborhood is surrounded by natural area. One suggestion was to use a pervious material, for example, pavers, but that's not consistent with the neighborhood aesthetic. And we've discussed that with our HOA, and they have concerns as well about that. So in conclusion, I just request approval of the variance to increase our impervious space, as I discussed, as well as the setbacks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The opposition that wants to speak, please.
David Romero, Josh Community Group. I am here to ask you to deny this petition. I'll explain my reasons. First one, there's no significant hardship that's been presented that would occur if you don't grant the request. I think the requested variances speak for themselves in that they ask for 4 different variances to existing county codes. One of them appears to be existing, so my question is this a previously unapproved variance? The entire structure, it would appear, would be within the 30-foot, would be outside the 30-foot rear setback and within 16 feet of the neighbor's side property. It does increase the impervious surface beyond code allowance, and you know the problems that we've been having in East Cobb County with flooding. I'm not saying it's in this particular neighborhood. I observe that there's ample parking available on the property. There is a circular driveway in the front, which is a feature that most of the homes in the neighborhood don't have. And then there's a separate driveway to the existing 2-car garage. You can park a number of vehicles there. There are no other 3-car garages in the neighborhood, as the applicant stated, which is true, so therefore it's going to change the look of the neighborhood. The applicant also stated there were no homes for sale within the area with 3-car garages. A quick search on Zillow found a dozen or more just within the 30072 zip code. I note that the property is currently zoned PRD. I think the application said R3. Don't really think that's correct. What I'd like to see is something to justify the one of the reasons for the variance request is to protect our primary vehicles from weather, vandals, etc. So are there records of auto vandalism within the Lost Forest subdivision? And if it's truly a problem, then maybe increased presence by Cobb County Police Patrols out of Precinct 3 would be appropriate. I've not heard the HOA nor any of the neighbors speak in favor or opposition to this. So I really wonder what their opinions are. I would think that all neighbors whose property abuts this property should have a voice. And I would think that all neighbors, because of the unique positioning of this property within the subdivision on that corner lot, that all other neighbors within 200 to 300 yards of the subject property voice their opinion. And lastly, the HOA, there is an HOA, and do they have an opinion? I did reach out to the president of the HOA and got an email back and said, well, we really haven't looked at it from that standpoint, except we're not happy with the concrete driveway because we want an impervious surface. So that's all I heard. I will say, as I sat here and listened to the last 2 cases come before the board, that I heard statements of, I'm not inclined to pass a variance that doesn't meet county codes. That was verbatim. I also saw you deny, and you denied both of the previous 2. I also saw you deny one and I agree, did not meet county codes because of a 6-inch height variance of a fence. However, the not granting of that variance does create a hardship on the applicant. This applicant is showing no hardship, except he wants another garage. Thank you.
Mr. Rumrell, could you come up, please, just for a quick question? Do you live in this neighborhood?
I do not. I represent the Josh Community Group, which was empowered by the District 2 Commissioner last fall to look
Okay,
at zonings.
I just wanted to know if you lived in the neighborhood. I appreciate
No,
it.
to look at zonings within the Josh Community area, and this falls within the Josh Community area.
Okay, thank you very much. This is my variance. I have had many discussions with Mr. Hornbrook with regards to this variance, and he has signatures. The signature that I was most concerned with is the one that will be greatly impacted, which is where the pointer is now on the map. They required they had those signatures. Mr. Hornbrook, could you come up to talk about the other signatures that you got in the neighborhood, please? And then we can talk about the HOA situation later. But what signatures, what homes did you get signatures from?
The only neighbor's signature is the one that you pointed out here. The other signature was the HOA Architectural Review Committee Chair, which was okay with it.
So,
And she did that in conjunction with the board.
okay. I know that I had asked if you could look at putting down pervious pavers, and that you had looked into that, you had talked to your builder, and you had also gone back to the HOA, and they weren't in favor of doing that because no one else has has pervious pavers as driveways. So that was kind of understood. So you can have a seat now. I don't have any more questions. So because of the shape, size, and topography, or the shape and size of this property, there was no other place to put another garage. As the person who was in opposition says that it isn't a hardship to have an extra garage. That's some people's opinion and not those of others. I guess when I looked at variances, that I look at the house that would be most impacted, and that's the house that signed the sheet in approval for this variance. I also talked with Stormwater Management, and Mr. Carver, could you come up to address, because I do have a concern, and I'm very, I know the difficulties in District 2 that we have with runoff, especially in District 2. We have many areas that have significant runoff situations, and so I had Mr. Carver look at this property, and could you please, for the record, what your recommendation is to mitigate this runoff?
Carl Carver, Cobb County Stormwater. Yes, my stipulation was for them to mitigate back to the zoning category for 40% coverage. From the testimony I heard earlier, it sounded like there's an existing flow wells and stuff. So when they would come in for their building permit for the garage, they need to have an updated site plan that shows the existing and any proposed flow wells to account for this increased impervious area.
And then in that plan that they need to bring into you, will they also bring in an updated site plan that shows his calculations that have reduced this?
Correct, yeah, the stormwater mitigation calculations and the construction details for the flow wells, if that's what they want to use, or infiltration trenches, depends on their engineer or what they price out.
Okay, thank you. I also feel, speaking to the opposition, as far as the other items that you said that were out of code, these people did not build the house. It was built and went through plan review, and I have no history of how this was approved, but the subdivision was approved under PRD, which that's what this present zoning is on the books. So I don't really feel comfortable holding them to something that they bought that was built to, at that time, the standards of Cobb County. So with that, I would like to make my motion to approve B68, subject to staff comments, stormwater management, and site plan review.
Second.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm in agreement with most of what you said, but what I notice is it looks like he's got a proposed concrete driveway going along Tritt Thomas Drive. It looks like it's 15 feet, over 15 feet wide, which would seem to be more than what is needed to do, I guess, what you do a K-type turn there, so you don't have to back out into the road. Now, I understand you don't want to back out into the road. You want to be able to turn, but I thought that was one area where they were going excessive, and they're going to have to mitigate back anyway, and for every bit of concrete they put down, they're going to have to put all kinds of rocks in the ground to mitigate. I just wonder if they gave any thought to reducing that from 15 feet down to something like 9 feet, which would still allow them to do a K-turn and then do a little less mitigation. But it's just a thought I had.
Anybody else? You ready to vote? So, all right, place your votes. Motion passes 4 to 1, objection. Thank you.
Okay, next one is variance case V73, Amin Bomanier and Aman El Shella request a variance to, number one, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for an existing approximately 800 square foot shed, if required 100 feet to 11 feet adjacent to the west property line, 5 feet adjacent to the north property line, and 75 feet adjacent to the east property line. And number two, reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 32 feet, which is existing, in land lot 187 of the 18th district. The property is located on the northeast side of Lennox Lane, east of Venetian Way. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V73?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward and be sworn in?
Good afternoon. Doing pictures. I think I was told to bring pictures. Greetings. So the hardship is my wife is a nurse, and during the COVID, 2019-20, she had to work in various hospitals around Atlanta. And the only jobs he could find were night shifts. And night shifts means she starts working at 7 p.m., ends up at 7 a.m., and then she has to sleep, say from 8 to 4 p.m. During that time, cannot be in the house because if you make any noise, then that would be World War III, and that will disturb her schedule. She cannot sleep again, and therefore she cannot work at night. A big mess. Even when she doesn't work, she cannot sleep because her mind is still night shift, or reversed. And so since she's from California, over there they have these houses, and they have little house behind, as usual. And she thought of building this little tiny house so that she could, one of us will be sitting there instead of being in the same house at the same time. The other reason was she has grandkids visiting her and so on. She would like to stay away from them, to rest and so forth. The other reason is, I think I have some videos. So if I can show you some. So these are the. As I said, she worked in Piedmont, Emory, that's Grady. And she thought I could have a man cave where I could stay away from, was she resting. Her brother also had a stroke lately, and here he is. And I don't know if you want to see this. He cannot move and so forth. He's in the rehab, and she would like to, if he could come and stay, with us in little house next to us. She loves the grandkids when they visit us, but the issue is they're noisy. This little one, for example, always works with Alexa, and so it's the whole house, screaming with Alexa. I also could use that little shed to work with the. I have kind of a project with the army here. That's part of the university. And if you receive these, people working with, I would rather have them in different, like in guest house, where they could stay and we can talk and discuss this problem. And these are, so I need your help. So she moved back to California, and that's why I need your help to bring her back. I need you, like I said here, I need you to make Mapleton feel like San Diego, so that she can be here again.
Question for you. Is it true that this particular storage shed, as it was named on the application, is actually going to be a separate living area for family and or rest or relaxation while she rests or relaxes after work?
Yes, that was the original idea.
Okay.
That was the original idea.
Does anyone else have any questions or concerns?
Is there electrical to this?
No. I mean, she thought of doing those solar panels. I told you she has the mindset of California. People she lived there. She would put, they call it, solar panels and go green, as they say.
So this addition, it's existing?
Yes.
You built it?
She built it. I mean, one day I came from home, from work, and I saw the bobcats. She said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "I'm building your retirement home."
So was any of this permitted? Did you get permits to build it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
She didn't know that you need a permit and so forth.
Excuse me?
She didn't know that you needed permit, zoning and all that. That was afterwards, after the inspector stopped by.
Is she currently using this space?
She left, I told you, because she couldn't work in those conditions. So she's now in California. She's in San Diego.
Oh, she doesn't live here.
She doesn't live anymore here. And I want to bring her back, say, kind of rearrange the whole stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have any questions? 'Cause we're ready. No? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we deny this request based on its intended purpose does not match with county zoning codes.
I second it. For further clarification, is that we don't allow apartments living, when we put in stipulations when someone has built, like one of our previous variances was for what was it, shed? And we say for no living. So we don't allow to have structures that are on, especially a property that is R20, we don't allow accessory structures like this for living purposes. And living purposes, that would mean the electrical, it would mean you're having water, a shower, you name it. And with the way what you're requesting is basically for her to come back to be able to live in a separate quarter from you due to her, excuse me, sir?
Yeah.
So basically, I agree with denying it because we don't allow accessory structures for living purposes on the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just inquire of staff, is there anything they could do to avoid needing to demolish or remove completely from the property the structure, such as relocating it so it's attached to the back of this house or something?
Commissioner Boulogne, just judging by the pictures, it looks like it's permanently attached to the ground, so I don't think they can move it. They definitely cannot use it for another dwelling or for having people live in. If the board wanted to approve something as a storage building, then the board should put conditions on it that prohibit it from having plumbing, HVAC, and power. So it cannot be used for a dwelling unit.
Thank you.
One more thing. If the motion passes, we're going to need a time frame for removal, if that's the board's wish. So that needs to be in the motion.
I think it'd be a hardship to have it.
You need to, okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to withdraw my original motion. I'd like to make a motion that the current structure cannot be used for any living purposes, have electricity, heating, water, or anything run to it, but that it can remain standing and used for the sole purposes of storage.
And can we add to that they need to get permits and have it inspected by our Development Inspections Division to make sure it's actually built to some kind of code?
With the addition that Mr. Peterson just added.
And a certain,
Within
what's a reasonable time frame to think we'll do it?
120.
Okay, fine.
Within 120 days.
Second.
Any more questions? All right, are we prepared to vote? Variance passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, last case on today's agenda is variance case V78, Catherine Onushko, Catherine Onushko. Request a variance, number one, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed 660 square foot garage required 100 feet to 40 feet adjacent to the east property line, 8 feet adjacent to the south property line, and 5 feet adjacent to the west property line. Number 2, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 240 square foot shed from required 35 feet to 2 feet, which is existing. Number 3, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing approximately 240 square foot shed required 10 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the east property line, which is existing. And number 4, allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface in land lot 238 of the 17th District. The property is located on the south side of Melinda Way, west of Drusilla Place. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed? The variance case V78. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Previous.
So we're here today to ask for a request for a variance
If
for
you
a
could-
setback.
First, if you could please give us your names.
Oh, sorry. So I'm Corey Burkett, fiance of Katie Anushko. She's the homeowner, property owner. So I'm here speaking on behalf for both of us. So, but the reason we're here today is to ask for a request for a variance for a setback for a prefabricated metal building. It's to store a classic car that's been in my family for 20-something years, and to also, for a secondary, non-primary vehicle. It's not driven every single day. So basically the setbacks we're not within code for the current building we're trying to build. So as of right now, our driveway is obstructed by some trees and some overgrowth of the neighbor's house. So we're proposing to have a prefabricated metal shed built in the back for the storage of the vehicles. So with that said, we're also trying to add to the value of our home. We're probably the youngest generation coming into our neighborhood. It's an older neighborhood. And we have a lot of neighbors that they're basically, I guess, with us on they're not proposed to work. They signed off. They gave us permission. They're not opposing any of this. And so I turned in all the sheets, shows that as well. And then I was also asked to give an updated impervious amount, which is right there. Okay. And then these are photos of the home as well, the aerial photos. Let's see. Yeah, so this is Melinda Way right here. This is our current driveway. As you can see, the tree from the aerial photo shows that it's essentially, somewhat blocking our driveway in a way, just from the aerial point of it. So anytime we get a storm or anything like that, we have debris fall down on our vehicles. So as of right now, the classic car that I have, I'm not keeping it here. I pay for off-site storage for it. So in our actual, what we're trying to get proposed to have the building built is in this area here. So there's that photo. Then that's another one. Essentially the same thing, just showing a little bit more of the property lines over there. This shows more of the overgrowth. So this is, So this is from the driveway here. Looking from Melinda Way, this also shows, the side yard, and right here you can see where it comes over the driveway as well. So this is a couple of photos of the car that me and my dad rebuilt that I obviously can't keep here at this property right now. So, there's that. There's a couple other photos of it at car shows and whatnot, just to show you, like, it's not a junker car sitting around. It's a nice vehicle. And then the secondary vehicle is actually Katie's vehicle. She worked from home, so she doesn't use it every day. We use my vehicle as a primary means of transportation. So I think that's, as far as pictures and photos, that's it.
Looking at the pictures, the side view of the house, how do you plan to access the garage if approved? Because it seems pretty narrow between the foliage and the backyard. Like,
Right.
How do you plan to navigate to that?
So on the other side of the house, there's a gate that opens. So that would be, accessing it that way. And being that it's not a primary driveway or primary garage that we'll be using every single day, it's more or less just a storage shed. That would be the way we would access it as of right now. We're currently trying to work with our neighbor. She's an older lady, obviously on a fixed income. We've helped her a little bit by trimming back a lot of the bamboo, because when we purchased this house, the bamboo was actually all the way over into our yard. We've since put in an underground fence and dug up all the rhizomes to get rid of all the foliage and the bamboo. We also had a tree company come out and shave off a lot of the tree that was kind of overlapping our driveway. But it got to a point to where financially we didn't want to invest too much money into a tree that's not even on our property. And she's obviously in a situation where she can't afford to take the whole property or take the whole tree down as well. So as far as accessing it, it would be going through the gate, which is double gated on the left side of the property. And then obviously if she were to try to do something to get some of this foliage off and have us a little bit of room, it looks smaller here, but if you can actually, like a full-size truck, I could fit down through there. Because when we were digging up the rhizomes, we had a full-size machine over there to help, get up all the rhizomes and the bamboo. So it just looks smaller in the photos.
In looking at your lot layout, is there a reason you're pushing that shed where it's going into your setbacks? Is there a way you could move it to mitigate going into the setback?
We've, I guess, looked at a couple different options. The reason why, if we can get the photo up, let's see. So basically, essentially, we were looking to put it in this area, and it's hard to say. I got some. I've got stakes you can't see from the aerial photo, kind of staked out where we went out there and we moved stakes around, measured everything out. So our septic tank's not shown. Our septic tank, if you see to the left side, I don't think it's in the.
Just one.
Yeah. So the septic tank's in that general area. So we can't go over in that area because of the septic tank. And the main reason we're building it is to protect our vehicles, the vehicles that we have here from the tree. And you also can't see, but on the left side by that other shed, there's a whole bunch of trees over there as well. That neighbor, one of the trees has already fallen on to that shed, and he had it removed. But there's a whole bunch of pine trees over in that area. And then our main concern is obviously this tree here. And then obviously if we get it too close to the house or try to move it anywhere else, it just becomes more of an issue of trying to access it because of the porch and the home of where it's located already.
So to get back into this shed garage with the antique vehicle, which I'm sure you don't drive a lot, but then for Catherine's vehicle as well, that's driven occasionally, are you going to do a concrete driveway or an asphalt driveway? Or are you just saying you're proposing to continue to drive? What I see right now is just on dirt. How are you?
Yeah.
So you're.
No, so as of right now, we were just doing the building. We had no plans of doing a driveway as it wasn't going to be a main garage, accessing it every single day. So there were no plans of doing a driveway.
I mean, I can understand your antique vehicle. I have one and don't drive it at all. But I still have access to it where we put concrete to go from our existing driveway and then extended it down. And, you know, I can understand you may not use your antique one very often, but I think that Catherine probably uses it more than once a year for her car. So you have no plans on putting some sort of a driveway to get to this?
I mean, obviously, we've looked at it, but option one would be on the right side over there, and that's if our neighbor were to, I guess, somewhat clean up some of the debris. It would be on the right side of the house. And then I guess the biggest issue is we would like to add on to the driveway that's currently there, which is on the right side of the house. You know, because we've thought about if this were to be like something we want to add on to as far as the driveway goes. So it would be on the right side of the house. And then if we end up having to move it to the left side, I mean, basically have to reconstruct, you know, a whole new driveway on the left side where the double gates were, which are not out of the question. It's just our main concern right now was to build the shed because it's more of like an emergency situation with the debris from the trees falling on, you know, she's already got a dent in her hood from this current driveway and this tree. And then obviously I'm paying close to $400, $500 a month for off-site storage for my other vehicle. So it's more or less, when we were to build this, I didn't realize the extent of what we're gonna have to go through to get permits, variances, and whatnot. And now we're realizing slowly but surely, like, there's more to it than just building it, you know? So I guess if there were phases to it, this would be our first phase. And then just with the concrete and the supplies for the shed, I mean, it's a 4-week process just to have it built. So, you know, within that time, we could look at possibly getting, aesthetically, I don't know how a concrete driveway would look, but something like a paver setup or something that would look, because the whole thing is we're investing into this home to make it look good. So I don't know about pouring a complete concrete driveway into the backyard.
So I'm looking at your house. This is the right side where the trees are covering. So this would be where you would, can I look, I'm sorry. Oh, so you already have, like, your driveway is going up to your house.
Yeah.
So then it would be extending a driveway
To the right.
to the right of that to go to the back.
Oh, there you go, yeah. So I guess in a perfect world, yes, we would like to have the driveway added on to the current driveway and come down beside the house. I don't know why is that the property line, the yellow mark there?
Yes.
I don't know why it looks kind of crooked like that. Because when you walk over, like if you actually see it physically in person, it doesn't look like that. But that would be the ideal situation, yeah, would be to add on to that driveway.
Is it
So
your
then
testimony that you can't build that driveway because the neighbor next door will not cut down the tree or cut back the foliage that currently exists?
Yeah, so right now we're working with her on trying to help her do that. She's not against it. She'll be gung-ho on doing it 1 week, and then next week, I had a plumbing leak or something. And there's always, just seems to be something that's come up that she's not able to help with getting her tree cut back. And we're not trying to cause her any issues at all either, but, you know, she's a really nice lady and not trying to have her go through too much. But we also want to make the house comfortable to live in too and have, you know, our necessities and whatnot as well, so.
Mr. Peterson, what is the code for driveways?
As far as driveways go, there's no code for setback for a driveway. The only thing in the zoning that would cover a driveway is the maximum impervious coverage.
Is there any other materials, say, instead of a poured concrete to create the driveway? What other materials are acceptable?
Well, it has to be something that's treated, so it could be concrete, asphalt, or what some people do is they go to Home Depot and they buy pavers, and they dig them into the ground where the tires are actually going to go, and leave the center as grass.
Yeah.
And they do that. And
That's kind of that.
acceptable also.
That's more of the idea I had, was just something that looks nice.
So if this variance is approved the way it's written, which isn't accounting, we're not accounting for a driveway to get back to it's no longer a shed, it's going to be a garage. What is the county code about driving on grass, dirt, whatever, to maneuver to get back to this garage?
The county code states that you have to be on a hard and treated surface, and that's why number 4 in the variance request is to allow them to maneuver on the grass.
Okay. With the tree, cutting that back, how is that preventing you from putting in, as you build this garage, putting in whatever system, like
You talking about the driveway on this side?
putting the driveway on the side? What is preventing you from doing that because of the tree? 'Cause
As of right now, you can, I'll show you the photo again. This photo here, you can see right here. So there's actually 2 trees here. And of the 2 trees, they come basically underneath the fence, the root system does, plus the bamboos as well. And basically, you put in a driveway there, it's going to cause it to, it's not going to be really functional. It'll end up chipping up, breaking up, just because of the way the root systems are there already. And with that bamboo alone, if you're familiar with bamboo, it's pretty abrasive and invasive, and it grows every week. We're over there having to knock down bamboo. So we've given her different options to try to help her to get some of this removed off the fence line, so we can install, if we need to, install pavers or some sort of driveway to access that building.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? No? Thank you. I make a motion to approve this variance with the stipulations of placing pavers or other concrete structure for a driveway that will that will lead to the structure per county code. But I'm open for board member discussion.
Could you put a timeline on that?
Yes, I would say within 120 days.
Is that 120 days of the structure being built, after the structure's built?
That is a good question.
Because as of right now, we're still, like I said, it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before we can get concrete, and then another probably 6 to 8 weeks to get the building built on top of the concrete after it's cured. So we're looking probably 4 months before it's completely built.
27%.
It's really low. 27%. So he was talking about putting pavers, correct?
Pavers. Mm-hmm.
Well below.
Mr. Peterson, is it allowable for a certain period of time that somebody can use, what do you call it? I just totally lost my, gravel?
Gravel is not considered a hard and treated surface, so if the board was inclined to grant variance number 4, we would have to have some type of language or time frame in there to allow that.
To allow gravel surface for a certain period of time, then to be replaced by
Pavers or concrete or
pavers.
asphalt.
So in addition to that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then on the gravel, as long as that gravel doesn't extend out to the road, so we can't take gravel that comes all the way out to the road, correct?
Now, unless there's an approved variance by the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Board of Commissioners. No, I think one way to kind of, address the issues that the board's expressing is to approve it subject to the motion that was made, and then maybe within 60 days of the completion of the building, the applicant to install the concrete, asphalt, or pavers on the property.
Okay.
So in addition to the motion that was made, adding an addendum to that is that you will add the concrete pavers within 60 days of the structure being built. But in the interim, if you would, have some gravel that doesn't impede the road in the process.
And that gives me the option on either side. Obviously pending on if the neighbor decides to clean up her side of the house. I mean, there's options. I just want to have options, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the one thing that's going to limit your options is your impervious coverage, because I think on your new plan it was 27%. So if you add a whole bunch, you're going to go way over, and you're going to need another variance.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the impervious coverage, so with the pavers, is that going to, if I do say lanes, like tire lanes, is that less coverage than if I do a fully paved?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How about we add stormwater management to approve the final plan for the pavers?
In addition, stormwater management will approve the final plan.
Okay.
Second.
So you understand that before you go put your pavers down, that you need to submit it into stormwater, what your plan is and what your coverage will be, so that he can help to make sure that you're staying under your impervious surface.
Okay.
So it just kind of behooves you, before you start laying pavers, that you go to stormwater management with your plan of your pavers, because your pavers aren't 100% pervious.
Right.
You only
Gotcha.
get a credit.
Gotcha.
So it would be better to go and talk to him before you decide where and what type of surface you want to use in doing this.
Right.
Yeah, that's second.
Do we need to restate? Do we need to restate the motion for y'all? I think that was second. Are you good on the motion, though? Okay. All right. All in favor, or all vote? Okay. Variance request passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck on the building.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Did we approve the minutes?
could we ask for clarification on Z73, that District 4 member, the intent was to approve the variance with the conditions. We were just concerned it didn't come across that way in the discussion, in the motion.
On which
And-
one?
Z73. I believe that was the correct one, right, clerk? Yes. Just if the District 4, Ms. Willis, would just clarify that the intent of that motion was to approve that variance request, and I think that should satisfy.
I just wanted to make sure stated to approve the 73 of the stipulations.
Okay. So just for clarification, V73, we're asking that it be approved with the stipulations that were stated previously.
All right. Now we need to take care of a little housekeeping. Has everyone had time to look at their minutes?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes dated August 8, 2022 of the agenda review work session.
A second.
All in favor? Okay.
Okay.
Now, would you do the second
Yes.
set of minutes?
And Madam Chair, move to approve the minutes of the variance hearing held on July 13th, 2022 as written.
Second.
Approved 5-0. All right. Thanks, everybody. We are now adjourned.